Welcome to Behind the Badge with your special guest, Lieutenant Williams, your news source for all things police in the city of Fond du Lac.
Come back into Fond du Lac today on News Talk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ. Now joined by Lieutenant Williams for Behind the Badge. Good morning, Lieutenant. How's it going?
Good. It's going okay. I got a stuffed critter with me today. So
Stuffed critter. This is not something, I don't think you hunted this yourself. It looks like it is made, I don't want to say where, maybe China?
I don't know. No, I don't know. It's got a United States flag on it. So I don't know. But it is a quality stuffed canine officer dog, which we are now selling at the Fond du Lac Police Department. And it's kind of like a little ongoing competition between our two canine handlers because one of them, the one I have in my hand, is Canine Lex. I'll show that for the camera for the people on YouTube. But and then the other one is Canine Brooks. And so we are selling both dogs. It's $20 a piece, and it is one of our fundraisers for our canine unit. Those of you that don't know it, our canine unit basically it lives off private donations. So we don't, it kind of helps us to have a canine unit because we don't have to rely on the budgeting, which can cost, so that money can go into other sources or whatever. So there's certain fundraisers that the canine officers do along the way to raise money for it. And this is a new one. I didn't do this when I was a canine officer. Kind of wish I did. I wish I had my own version of my dog in stuff form. But these are really cool. They have their own badges on them, which look identical to our police badges, and they got a little vest on as well.
Have you done everything as a police officer? You're like,
stuff.
I've been this, I've been that, I've been this, I've been that. I mean, I know you've been doing it for a while, Lieutenant Williams, but you've been everywhere.
Yeah, I think if you just stay in a place long enough, you just end up doing everything. But yeah, no, canine handling was very rewarding. One of my favorite things that I did as an officer. But yeah, it's a great gig, and it's kind of cool to bring a furry friend with you everywhere you go. And now you can bring your own furry friend. But this one does not bark in your ear, so.
That's probably for the best, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned Lex and Brooks. They're the stuffed dogs that you have for sale, part of the fundraiser. Now, do you guys just have 2 dogs total, part of the canine unit, or is there more?
As of right now, we do. We did have 3 dogs. Unfortunately, we lost a dog last year through a medical condition. So it's one thing we're talking about doing in the future, but as I probably spoke on this phone, we got to hire some more cops probably first before we do that. And we kind of like having 1 dog per shift. So we'll probably get up to those numbers. I'm not sure when, but we will find out. But yeah, the canine unit is great. It's kind of one of those things where, I love doing like canine demonstrations. So you go out to like kids' schools or special occasions or something like that and kind of meet the community. And when I was canine, I was on night shift. So I didn't get to see like a lot of the community, like right. the people that wanted to see me. It was a lot of the people that weren't as excited to see a canine.
They didn't want to see the dog running them down or sniffing around or something.
And it's kind of amazing, like my dog, most of all of our dogs, they are trained in tracking and they are trained in drug work, so they can find the major odors of drugs, and also can track people. And a couple of times on occasion, just the mere announcing that I had a dog would lead to someone giving up, because I always say nobody wants 2 things. No one wants to get tased, no one wants to get bit by a dog. And usually just the presence or threat of that will produce the outcome that we're looking for.
Perfect. And I know that today wasn't typically really designed to just kind of go into the dogs themselves, but I got a couple questions for you while we're talking about it.
Let's just stick with the dogs. Let's do it.
Stick with the dogs.
Why not?
Perfect. Okay. So the handler of the dogs, does the dog go home with them, or is the dog at the police department when they're done with their shift?
Oh, I gotta tell my wife will be very happy that you used to ask that question, because my line always was when I was a canine handler that my dog goes to work with me, goes home with me. He's with me more than my wife. And I would say that line a lot, and she would just she'd cringe a little bit about it, but it is a good line because it is. Like, how big of a bond you form with an animal that you spend that much time with, and that's just it. Like, I don't know, what that term is or whatever, but it is. It's an inseparable bond. Now, some of the dogs, some canines, they'll actually go and when they get home, they'll have to they'll be in a pen or but I think both of ours, the dog just intermingles in, and there's a benefits to both. The one, if you have them, the dog kennel, they know every time they're getting out of that kennel that it's time to work, you know. But the other thing, if you have the dog kind of around your house, it helps the dog in socialization as far as, you know, like it can meet other dogs, it knows how to react around people, it knows not to bite everybody, you know, like, but sometimes could probably sneak a table scrap in there that you don't want. You don't want to feed dogs, you don't want to feed police dogs any kind of food because, you know, they search through cars and some people don't keep their cars very tidy.
That
and
leftover fast food that's underneath the seat, those French fries have been sitting there for a month or something like that.
You want them concentrated on doing the drug work and not the leftover pizza, you know. So it does happen though sometimes. My dog was pretty good at avoiding that. He knew to separate the two. Wasn't very food aggressive, but it's very dog specific.
And you mentioned with the dogs, how long does it take to train a dog typically? Like once you get the dogs as their pups and then they're trained to be almost a police officer dog their entire time, part of canine unit, or is it almost, I guess, you find a dog and you're like, okay, this dog would be perfect for that?
So that's a great question. Most of the dogs that turn out to be canines are actually bred to be canines, and they start them basically as early as they can go. Now they'll start with you know, lines like bloodlines that have done canine work before in the past. Typically around here, it's most canines are German Shepherds, but Belgian Malinois are kind of starting to take over the game because they're a little bit smaller. They live a little bit longer. They're a lot faster. But I always liked the German Shepherds because they were probably not as riled up as a Malinois, a little bit easier to control. But anyway, to your breeding question is, yeah, they start them out as fast as they can, and it's not all just like biting people or whatever. It's simple stuff. It's obedience and things like that. And a lot of these dogs come from like Europe, and I'm not swearing here, okay, but there's a sport called Schützen, and it's like a dog competition where a lot of these dogs come, and a lot of police dogs are dogs that when they are done doing the Schützen training, they come and become police dogs. That's like their retirement program. But Schützen trains in the same thing as what police officers do, such as like tracking, finding people. They don't learn drugs in Schützen. That's not part of that, but it's a lot of the tracking and stuff that we'd want our dogs to know.
So normally by the time they come to, let's say, Fond du Lac, they're already a few years old. We're not talking about puppies.
Yeah, typically they'll start. I've seen them start as low as like a year and a half, but that's not typical. Usually 2.5 would be good. As soon as they start getting 3, they start getting kind of like older. I think my dog was just a little over 3 so he was on the older end of the spectrum. But 2.5 would be like a good number for a starting dog.
And you mentioned kind of the lifespan German Shepherds, not necessarily the longest living dog. At what point in their career do they almost get kind of phased out and put into retirement, or are they typically, you know, working with you for their entire life?
So if it was up to most of them, they would just keep working. Like they don't want to stop. Like that is fun for them. Like if I would grab my dog's harness, he would go crazy running around the house, like because he loved to go to work. And but usually it's like their hips or joints or nerves or something, and you know it's just like time to kind of give it up, and that's hard. It's very hard for a dog to see the squad pull away and them not to be in it, and that's that. I almost had to trick my dog to act like I was never going into work so that he wouldn't get in, because he would poop in our house if he saw that I went with work with him. He would get revenge on us, which was kind of a pain, but. It's as long as they go. It's very dog specific. We like to try to get 5 years out of our dogs. Anything over that is good. Like I think a lot of our dogs have worked longer than that. Like 6, 7. Malinois, I've heard them go 7, 8, 9. Just lighter dogs. So not so much pain on the joints, and that's what it is. It's the jumping in and out of the squad car. I think it's difficult.
As we got Lieutenant Williams in here this morning for Behind the Badge, talking about the Canine Unit and how they have this great fundraiser going on right now. If somebody wants to help out the Canine Unit, as it's all privately funded, where can they get these dogs at?
So you can talk to our front desk lady, Lori. She's got a bunch of them like surrounding her desk. Like she's hounded. She's got a flock. Is it a flock? But if it's a bunch of dogs, a pack.
A pack, yeah.
A pack of dogs. I should know that. There's a pack of dogs on her desk, $20. I think cash only. So you can come right to the Fond du Lac police department during business hours, so between 8 and 4, and you can get these dogs. Now, there are only, I would say, like 15 to 20 left right now, but we are getting another shipment
Awesome.
in. So if you get there and they are out of a certain ones, don't be worried. Right now, I don't want to be mad to Officer Beckford, but there are less of the K9 Brooks than there are of the K9 Lex. Now, that could be because Officer Hafer maybe had a lot of family members and he was just trying to like get the odds in his favor. But so go out there and give K9 Lex some support and see if we can give K9 Brooks a run for his money.
Now, they have a little friendly wager on this? Do you know what the wager is? by
Oh,
chance?
I don't know if they have a wager, but they should. They should. Maybe there is. Maybe it's for dog biscuits or something.
There we go. Lieutenant Williams, really appreciate the time this morning. Is there anything that we didn't hit on about the K9 that you think people might need to know more about?
Well, I could talk for a very long time about it, but it's a very rewarding thing. It's a great program. A lot of people might think, I mean, we don't need that, but I know when I had my dog on the road, you know, I was getting them out probably on average about once a day. And you're like, well, what are you doing? Well, drug interdiction, and then you put in their locker searches, locker sniffs, article finds. They get tracking people. My dog, I was lucky. I had a lot of very successful tracks, and it was very exciting stuff. It was trying to locate someone, and you're just going off their smell, and you're able to locate them. So they're a very good tool, and they're great for community outreach because everybody likes dogs. So it's a great tool for the police department. I think we have a very good unit here. We have a strong history here for our K9 unit, so it'll continue to strive, I think.
Awesome, Lieutenant Williams. We really appreciate the time this morning. We'll chat with you next Friday. Thanks for the time.
Thanks.